Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Schwab YouTube coaching channel for our next topic, getting started with Thinkorswim. I am your host, Kevin Horner. Thanks for being here today and joining me. Today, we're going to look at a couple of functions and features of the desktop Thinkorswim application that you may not have had an opportunity to customize just yet. Notably, drawing sets, study sets, and the My Tools section today. So look forward to getting into this with all of you. Say hi to my friend in the chat today. It's Brent Moores. He'll keep an eye on things. He and I had a wonderful discussion as we kicked off the day this morning in Trader Talk. So if you hadn't had an opportunity to get caught up on the morning expectations, maybe that's a good one to hit up in our archives. But today in particular, we are going to be diving into Thinkorswim with a little bit more detail. Now, while I do have some ideas of what I want to address with you all today, don't hesitate to use that Q&A function. Let me know some of the things that you're looking for as well. I'd be happy to get to some of those specifics for you. If I don't have the opportunity or time, Brent absolutely will be able to do that for us. So feel free to post in the chat for the duration of the show. We go about 40 minutes or so today. Additionally, if you're not already doing so, Brent and I would greatly appreciate a follow on X. He's available, Brent Moores CS, and I am available, Kevin Horner CS there. We try to post for you throughout the week, give you some notable charts or interesting things to be aware of, calendar of events, and so forth. Always some opportunities to engage with each of us coaches on X. So please give that some consideration if you're not already there. Before we can go further, though, we're going to go ahead and get to our disclosures. So I will remind you that our conversation here is exclusively for your information and your education. We are not here to make a recommendation or endorsement in any way. Further, we're working in our Thinkorswim desktop paper money version, essentially. What that means is that not everything that you would have available when you're working in paper money is going to be available to you as you might think in the live session. In fact, the live session will absolutely give you what you're looking for, of course. But beyond that, it is some of the details in scanning and some of the option detail as to how a short option, for example, would not give you an early assignment in our paper money platform, but it is something that absolutely can happen in a real world, real life example. So you do want to be aware of that. Okay, so let me push on through some of the details there. We're going to go right to the platform. And I see right off the jump, we've got a question about resetting the Thinkorswim. And I assume this is zeroing out relative to our individual paper money portion, right? So chances are we're looking at something that maybe got a breakdown of individually held positions via the activity and positions page. In here, you can see that I've got those broken down into sector relationships. But if you are looking to make an alteration, you can go in with a right click in any one of your individual positions, and you can say reset all positions here. So I think that's what you're looking for, Tony, is to reset Thinkorswim so that all of your detail goes back to zero, back to the $100,000 paper money portfolio available for you. And of course, you can make not just individual or across the board adjustments with resetting all positions, but you can go in and make an adjustment to the position itself. You can detail how many shares, at what price, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of easy ways to go about that here within the platform. Now, since that's exactly what you're looking for, wonderful. Thank you, Tony. What I also want to point out is if you have played with the platform already, maybe you have customized some of this detail and you would like to get back to factory reset, you can do that via the setup opportunity here. And you'll notice via the setup gear icon, which of course is a very nice and quick function, be reminded about is the gear is your go-to when you are looking to make some alterations or changes. But if you wanted to get back to your so-called factory settings, we can do that here with reset workspace to default. Now, the convenient thing, of course, is that you can save that workspace beforehand. So what it may make sense to do is that exactly, save workspace as, give it a title and an easy to know, easy to locate name, and then you can reset to the default and start playing with things again to get a little bit better acquainted. One thing I've learned is that going back to the default helps me to step through my necessary paces in order to get it built again the way that I want. But what I liked about that was that the going through that process, as someone who likes to learn on the fly, it is the step-by-step that really gave me the familiarity that I was looking for with regard to the platform. So going through it, working through it, doing it over and over and over again made the learning of the tool much speedier, much faster. So I tell you, it really helped me get acquainted with it far better. Now, I realize that not all of us are jumping to the deep end of the pool type traders. Some of you want to spend your time devoting to getting comfortable, getting familiar, and then working in the live platform. I don't blame you. If you're looking to do that, consider starting from that paper money standpoint, build the tool a little bit, get comfortable with how you like it, take the customizations in the paper money into your live version. By the way, there's an easy way to do that too. And I figure since we're here, why don't I just show you real briefly? If you're working in your paper money and everything you've done is good to go, and you think that this is exactly the way you want it to look when you start working with real money, I think the easiest thing to do is to go back to that setup and save workspace, right? Give yourself an easy to reference name. I'm going to keep it simple. You can imagine my Kev's layout is pretty basic, but that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? So save it as something easy. And then what you want to do is share it thereafter. So you go in to set up share workspace, and then you're going to hit share, and then it places it on your clipboard. Now, what I recommend doing is putting that shared grid or the shared workspace link, which is going to start with your standard default browser page detail, right? HTTP : etc. Share that give that to yourself in an email or just a workspace that you can access it after the fact. And then when you log back on, you're going to go into the setup and open shared item, and then you'll paste that right here. Okay. And then by pasting it right here, then you access it, it'll open up for you and you'll be good to go. So I hope that that's helpful. That will make your process of migration from paper money to live money a little bit easier on you. Again, I feel like the more times you do something, the faster it'll absolutely work out. Okay, I see a question right here off the jump with Jerry as well. In the monitor tab, you're missing the red and green calculations here. Everything is gray and white. No problem. We can make that fix. And then let's get into a couple of the things that I wanted to show you. So, Jerry, I'm going to take you to, I bet you're surprised, that setup gear once more. And then we're going to go to application settings. Once in application settings, it's going to be one of two places. It's either look and feel or display. In this case, what we're looking for is display. So under display, take a look to the right. In fact, if you go even with the wording display to the right and just slide on down a little bit, you'll notice we've got show color price ticks. And there you go, Jerry. You just need to go ahead and put a check mark in both the position statement and the account statement. And of course, hit apply settings. And then I'll point out, this is the position statement, which is the breakdown that I commonly refer to. This is going to work really well. And then additionally, you've got the account statement here. And if you want to see those green and red calculations there as well, make sure you've got that check mark noted also. All right, great. So like I said, right off things, I want to get to your questions. Please feel free to continue doing so in the chat there. Like I said, if I'm unable to, certainly Brent will lend me a hand. Looks like that was an easy fix. That's okay. That's great to hear. So Ricebird, changed computers a couple of times since starting with Thinkorswim, and passing on the shared workspace made the process very easy. Wonderful to hear that, Ricebird. Of course, you know, this tool is a lot of work to understand and get comfortable with. We recognize that, but There are so many of those quick functions and features that make it a little bit easier. That is certainly one of them. Sharing your own workspace with yourself, sharing it with each other. And if you've been here a number of times, everybody, then you've seen us share some of those details from class in the chat as well. Some of those links and details are available in show notes, so you can get to those after the fact. And speaking of after the fact, I want to answer, Ron, your question about will this be available later? Absolutely. The majority of our segments here are going to be archived and available for you. In fact, I'm going to use this as my quick segue to bring up the webpage. So here in Thinkorswim, we can migrate quickly into YouTube. And granted, I've bookmarked this page, and I'd certainly recommend you doing so as well, everybody. Bookmark, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But for those of you who find today is not going to cover maybe the topic that you're looking for, the easiest thing to do, two choices. One, you can just scroll on down the page here, and you'll see we've got a whole set of, hey, I'm using Thinkorswim. There's some things I'd like to learn about. This is a wonderful way to do that, okay? You can also know that this class is titled Getting Started with Thinkorswim, and we can search exactly by that. So just typing in Getting Started and Thinkorswim is going to bring us to our full playlist. Check this out, everybody. We got 79 videos waiting for you right there. After today, it's going to be 80. So a lot of opportunity for you to find exactly what it is you're looking for. And in particular, this playlist is immediately available, and I'm just going to throw it right into the chat for you, everybody. So bookmark this playlist if you'd like to have access to it. That'll be an excellent resource for you if you're still in this beginning phase of familiarizing yourself with the Thinkorswim platform. Natasha, I love that idea, of course. Needless to say, my balance here in the Thinkorswim is a little bit inflated. That is not because I'm a great trader. That's because Schwab Trading would absolutely like me to have the availability to show all of you the features and functions that I might possibly need access to. And certainly by not limiting my funds, that'll make it a lot easier for us. So with that, let's take a look at that charts page, which is just, of course, one of the tabs available to us. And thank you, Brent, for reposting that survey. I see we've got that available. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, your input for me is helpful, but it's also helpful for Cameron, who teaches this class the majority of the time when he's not on vacation, of course. So make sure that you're taking a quick second and sharing with us your ideas, your thoughts, things that you want to see us focus on in this segment. That is a wonderful way to share those. Additionally, if you have things that you're looking for from the Thinkorswim platform that you haven't yet seen or we've not yet been able to provide, that's another good thing to bring to those surveys, everybody. So take that moment and share it with us. If you click the link, it's going to open up in a browser window right next to this one. It'll save there for you until the end of the segment, and you can get to it when you do have a moment. All right, so today what I wanted to point you to are two things. Well, technically three, but the two and then a dovetail into speedily accessing those two things. The first we're going to talk about is the use of the drawings and drawing set. Now, many of you are familiar with placing your lines, drawing your details, etc. But some of you don't want those details carried from one chart to the next. And a way that you can do that is to basically create or save a drawing set so that everything you do is tied to that single chart, but no other charts. Okay, that sounds a little bit confusing, but let me show you what I mean. On my overall daily chart, I've got this oval that's capturing the most recent low in the S&P 500. I've got a long-term trend line reflected. I've got a long-term horizontal support reflected. Now, if I go to my weekly chart, you're going to see those exact same lines, right? Now, if I don't want those lines to appear on my daily, not to say that that's the proper way to do this in any way, I'm not, but what I do want to do is maintain these lines on my weekly chart, but I don't want those to appear on my daily. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to drawings and I'm going to save a new drawing set. And instead, now default is going to be 1. It's going to say default 1. But what I want to do is just title it something, of course, easy to get to. So I'm just going to say weekly SPX. And I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to go back to my daily and I can right click, clear the drawing set, which is going to eliminate all drawing tool details that I've placed on this chart, and they're going to go away. Nice and clean, right? Now, if I go back to my weekly, aha, I still have them there. All right. So that can be very helpful if you do not wish to see these details carried forward from one time frame to the next. If you are making notes to yourself via the notes function in the drawing tool, remember, and also remember that if you utilize a mouse, which has that little trackball on it, this is one of the easiest ways to navigate to the drawing tool, is just to press your mouse button, the mouse ball, the trackball that is, and then you are in all of the details. Well, I, as a trader, will frequently use that T. That gives me the text box, and then I'll do some details to myself. These are just really helpful reminders, right? Close below 5,500 SPX. Time to take action, okay? Now, my hope is that you're reading that as generically as I'm offering it. Ultimately, I can place this where I want it. Maybe I want to line it up with my 5,500 level on the S&P 500. Some of those details, like you can right-click in here, edit properties, and then the value allows you to place it at a certain ledge, right? So if I wanted that note not at 55, but rather 4,800, now it's all the way down here. If you like the arrow on it, don't forget you can alter the arrow itself, right? So we can have the arrow on or off. We can have the arrow in a different location to our note. And we don't also have to have the full text of the note. We can show the icon only. Check out how this looks. There's your icon. Now I can highlight it or hover it, excuse me, and there I have the same detail. So it doesn't take up the entirety of your chart. It doesn't give you more than you want, but you can have as much of that note as you want, and you can also have as little of that note as you might like. Okay, so I kind of remind myself that there are some easy things to do here that make my process even easier on myself. Creating draw sets is a really important one of them because let me give you an example. If you are ready to share a chart that you have drawn up, so let's say you've gone about the process as I might. I've put all my lines in there. I've got notes to myself and everything. And your buddy says, hey, show me what it is on that chart that is drawing your eyes to that trade. Why that trade? Well, you don't want to necessarily share everything, right? So go in and you create a saved draw set, titled it, as something easy to reference, and then clear the set, start drawing again, and share the cleaner version with your counterpart, but not all your detail, all your criteria, right? So it's an easy way to allow you to alter or change your details without a whole lot of effort. So drawing sets, very functionally helpful. And in the one other note that I'll give you is don't forget that we can delete pretty easily. If you're going to have multiples, they'll appear here in a manner that the weekly SPX does. So if you're in the habit of utilizing Thinkorswim and drawing lines and putting notes to yourself, etc., make sure that you're thinking about this. You can make it pretty simple on yourself. Okay, so there's your drawing set, everybody. Now, the questions that I get as it relates to study sets are immense. Many, many, many questions about drawing sets, many questions about study sets, and many questions about customizing them. So let's get to some of that detail for you all. Now, as you'll see, when I go to my studies here, and to load study set, I've only got those two options to the left. Well, that's because I've saved quite a bit of these. And many of you are familiar with some of the classes I host, and I get to these frequently, but I don't always talk about how or why, right? And of course, my process involves me utilizing multiple various ways to view moving average details. Some of those moving averages, as you can see, are very limited, like a single moving average, like just the 10-day, or just the 20-day, or just the 200-day. But then I've also got some that are very specific to other time frames, like this 5 and 20 moving averages with on balance volume, with RSI, with ATR. I'll click on that for you real quick. Well, now I've got a 5 and 20 moving average on my chart with RSI down below and average true range down below. Now that was easy to get to because I created it, I saved it as such. And one of the key components, as far as I'm concerned, is not just creating and saving it, but making it easy on yourself. Give it a title that is very clear to you, the trader. How is it going to be most easily recognizable and reference the detail you're looking for? Obviously, right? We don't want to spend our time searching, okay? So if you've not incorporated study sets before, I'm going to give you a couple of steps for your consideration. So what I'm going to do is go to one that I call naked. I'll bet you got an idea as to how that looks. Pretty clean, right? So I've got an RSI down below, and I've got price action and nothing more. So this is what I like to call the naked chart, and occasionally I will fall back in and want to just take a peek at this, and I might like to just add in my old details periodically. So we are going to start by building a new study set. And I'll remind you that everything we do in building it does not mean that you should build the same. The criteria for it is far less important than just the understanding of the process. But before we do, I just want to make sure that I've addressed any questions here in the chat. I see Brent has been able to answer a couple of them for me, as always. Wonderful. Thank you, Brent. Let's see. We also have some specifics on the chart that the drawing doesn't carry over to the other versions of charts that you have up at the same time. And I think, Hyena, that's probably because you may have already created that drawing set. If you don't create a drawing set, every line you have will carry by default to every other time frame. So if you draw a line on that daily and you are then looking at a 5-day, 5-minute, but the price action levels that you're seeing on the intraday coincide with that line, you're going to get those on your chart in the intra-period as well. Yeah, Ted, absolutely agree. It makes a lot of sense to go through your lists and purge sets you don't use anymore. Very important. You might find yourself, everybody, getting a pop-up window, a pop-up notification every now and then regarding maybe having used a lot of memory. And if you eliminate old details, this will help to keep things, as Brent is mentioning, how to keep things nice and tidy. I agree. Okay, let's see. Jerry, you had a question about price levels. And so when you double click on a candle, it draws a horizontal line. But other times when I double click, it expands the chart. So let's see. Couple of ways. So when you're looking at that draw tool, there's two different options. The trend line, which always has a beginning and an end, and you can right click and extend it to the left. You can right click and extend it to the right. You can cancel the extension left. You can cancel the extension right. Now there's also price level, which is this one. And the price level is nice because it'll give you absolute price. You designate where you want it, and you'll notice it automatically places an amount right there for you. So that's pretty good. Now let me see if I'm using the price level as my draw tool. I know that because I can see it right here. And I pick on the chart itself, double click. Okay, there it is. It's set the price. Well, I'm not sure about see, this is interesting. The double click places it right where you want it, but I'm not able to facilitate or get it to give me necessarily the expansion of the chart or the zoom on the chart. So I'm a little curious as to how that's happening. It might, I'm gonna have to think about that, Jerry. I'm not sure as to why it would be doing the expanding of the chart necessarily. I have to admit, I'm not sure. Maybe Brent has an answer for you, maybe not, but I haven't been able to replicate it. Okay, so let's see about these study sets. Like I said, I wanted to show you the process that I found pretty convenient, pretty quick to build out new study sets. And a lot of the time, those study sets are going to incorporate mainly some moving averages and maybe some detail down below. So the first thing that I want to encourage you to give consideration to is, let's go into the flask here and or the beaker, take your pick, and you'll notice that we have the RSI as the only study added to my chart. Okay. Now, if I want to add in simple moving averages, I'm just going to start by titling simple, and there it is. So a double click gets it added. And let's go ahead and customize my like with a 5-day. So once you've added your detail to the study, to the side here, to the study side, we use, as usual, the gear icon. Now we'll jump to the creation of the length. And this is where we give the specifics as to how we want that moving average to appear. What is the time frame of our moving average? So let's suggest we are going to build a 30-day simple moving average. I'll put that in there. And then down below, one of the things that I like to do to ensure that I've got a visual that I'm going to always catch, I increase the width, commonly to at least 3. It jumps off the screen a little easier on me. Now, one other note here is that you can place a signal on the chart, right? And basically just an arrow that will appear on the chart with price action above or price action below the line. Okay. Some traders like to see that, some don't. All right. So you might indicate that you don't want the signal to be shown. You can eliminate the plot. Okay. And then it will not appear on your chart. Now, I have simply created a 30-day simple moving average. When I hit apply, it is then going to place it on the chart. Okay. So now, if I think that the way that I want this to be is to show me a 30-day simple moving average and the RSI, and maybe that's my basics, right? Maybe the 30 and RSI is what I'm looking for, and then maybe I'll alter and add new details. Well, I would start by studies, save study set. Now remember, we started from naked, so it wants to know, hey, do you want to call this the naked again? No, I'm going to make this one 30 DMA, and I'm just going to let it go. Hit save, and now it's there for me. Now, when we alter this, if I want additional simple moving averages, I'm going to go right back into my beaker, simple, double click. All right, now I've got the 30, and let's say I want to add in a 50. So I'll change my 9 to 50, change my width to 3, and maybe I want to change that color because I don't want these moving averages to be identical. I want the colors to look different, right? So I can capture that once more. So up signal, no, down signal, no thank you. Hit OK. All right, so now I have a 30, a 50, and the RSI. Now I'll hit apply. Okay, I've got them both. Now what do I need to do? I'm going to go back in, save study set. And instead of 30 DMA, it's going to be 30/50 DMA. Save, good to go. Now, the easy thing to do is say, well, Kev, I got a 30 by itself. I got a 30 with a 50. Well, what if I just want the 50? Well, now I'm going to go back into the beaker. I can close it, or if you're in the habit of simply leaving everything loaded, we could just close the eyeball, right? So click that eyeball. Now the 30 won't appear. Hit apply, hit OK. And now what you get, instead of a study set that doesn't have the 30 and the 50, it's only showing you the 50 with the ability to add back the 30 quickly. So this one I might go in and save as just a 50-day moving average, okay? And then back in, open that up. How about another moving average? Somebody was telling me they look at, before the 200-day, they like to look at the 100-day moving average. So just for giggles, let's add a third one. We'll make that 100-day, change that color to something else, and let's make sure we turn off the up and down signals. There we go. Showing plot, no. Hit apply. Now I got all three on there, and now I can save that study set. So really, the process is once more, the more we step through it, well, the easier it actually becomes, because every time you save a study set, you are giving yourself the most recent save to refer back to. It's kind of like when I was playing Mario Brothers back in the day, and I would make it past a certain level. If I would get far enough, as soon as I died, it would kick me back to the beginning of the level, right? Or the most recent checkpoint. Same thing here with my study sets. So I hope that kind of opens your eyes a little bit to what can be done with study sets. And you can see the merit of why perhaps I have so many study sets, right? Because sometimes I want to see, what does that 10 and 50 look like? What about the 10, 50 and the 10, 20 and the 50? Maybe you're a shorter term trader in certain instances, not going to always rely on your 20, 50, and 200 day. Or you like the 20, 50, and 200 day, but occasionally you'd like to see the return detail there. And so maybe you work with one like I have, 20, 50, 200 returns, which is then going to give me the banner along the top in this case. So as a trader, I often say that we need access to all of these studies, all of these tools. We don't need the tools, however, all the time. What we need is quick and speedy access to the tools once we have customized them to our liking. So go through that process, step through and customize, and then we can improve the speed with which we can access them. Now, let me show you that. I am going to go ahead. I'm going to put us back to my basics. So we'll go back to my 20, 50, 200. Now we're going to go up to the gear in the chart. Now on the general page, which is don't even need to navigate from here, everybody. We're going to slide down to that lower right into the My Tools section, which is stated as being off right now. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is how this appears when you download the application the first time. Notice along the top up there, I had that shadow for a second. When I put my mouse up there, that shadow comes back, and maybe you want to go in and put that pin to your chart so that that shadow is there constantly. Now, I know Brent likes to see that at the top. I don't know if he likes to pin it to the top like we have it right now, but that's an option for you. And if you want to make changes to these links, we do that via the gear. But check out what these links give me, everybody. 10-day simple moving average, just the 10-day. But Kev, what if I wanted that 20, 50, 200 back? It's right here. I've already put it there. So if you're looking to clean your details, to single moving average, 200-day, single 100-day, single 50-day, or if you wanted to incorporate others in here, you can do that as well. So notice I've got my returns right there. If I wanted to add in average range, notice I can. If I want to add in volume profile at a moment's notice, I can. I won't do that on SPX. Let me throw in Apple here. Of course, Apple's not a recommendation in any way. but just to take a look at how we can highlight the volume profile as well. And then if I said, oh, that's great, Kev, but I want to get back to my standard, go back to my 2050-200, I'm right there. Okay, speedy, quick access to the tools that I want. All right. Now, that's not the only way that you can access the My Tools section. Let's go back into the gear. Go back to the My Tools dropdown. And instead of on each chart, let's say single panel, hit apply. And what it loaded for me now is this page, which is basically the same thing, except it's in a different manner. And I can get to this quickly and easily. I can pin it right here if I want to have that overlaying everything that I want. All right. And again, in terms of making changes, I use that gear icon in the lower right. Now, this used to be set up such that our maximum was like 7 boxes here, and that was it. But now, click that gear, add a button. Well, look at all these options available. Remember, I've got those study sets, so any of my previously saved study sets is going to be an option for me. Maybe I want one in here to be the naked one so that I can quickly use that, right? I'll just slide that up. I hope you noticed how easily I did that. Just literally click and drag while in this open function mode here, right? And we added another button. So what if I wanted to go to those drawing tools? If I wanted to make available the trend line drawer, I can put that right here. And now I can quickly access that from this in lieu of maybe the mouse functionality that I showed previously. So there are a multitude of ways. And I think more often than not, we traders just need to start applying some of these things and going, yeah, that might be helpful. And then you spend a day with that tool added, and then it's there for you. And then you start seeing, do I reference it or not? If you don't use it, yeah, eliminate it. But it's not going to hurt you to have it there, right? Ron, the answer to your question, yeah, multiple monitors, absolutely. Like every tool, just about, I don't want to go too far here, but just about every tool available to you in Thinkorswim is detachable and therefore draggable to another monitor, okay? And really nice in Thinkorswim, when you do that, you can choose to save it, obviously, save your overall workspace, but the platform by default is going to save your workspace the way you closed it. So if you took a tool like this My Tools and you put it on another monitor for yourself, when you log on tomorrow, it's going to have it there in that monitor for you. All right. So yeah, that would work out really well also. All right. Let's see. Well, I'll have to be honest. Now I'm gonna let you all know I am anything but perfect. I hope you all knew that already. But no, Ricebird, believe it or not, when we start working with the calculations associated with these some of these tools, it becomes less familiar for me. The calculation associated with these, like if we went in, let me see, I think I saw Carol's question originally about what are you choosing and so on and so forth. You know, for me, what I found was more often than not, I just needed to make a change to the detail and then see how it looked. So if we're talking RSI, for example, and you get down into the nuts and bolts of it and you start playing with the detail here, well, let's see, I don't want numerical, I want Boolean. Instead, I'll hit OK, hit apply. And what does that do for me? Does it make it any more or less legible to me? Meh, I'm not sure that it does. Again, I tend to work with defaults rather than I like defaults, but I tend to work with defaults. They were built the way they were built for a reason, most of which is to be in line with the creator of the function, creator of the tool itself. Carol, I understand where you are. I mean, I myself was a trader relying on Street Smart Edge. I have been with Schwab. I've said this a number of times, Carol, you've heard it. I've been with Schwab forever, and I've been a user of every single platform that we've had. I loved Street Smart Edge. But I should also mention that I absolutely love this tool. I have come to realize the merit of the shift we've made. And in truth, there's a lot that I still don't have the familiarity with, but the basics, the stuff that I need access to for my trading and educating is something that I do have comfort with. Don't pull your hair out. I understand that the frustration is going to perhaps lead you that way. Take a deep breath, fall back on your learnings, fall back on your resources, and remember that we have services available for you, not just on the YouTube channel, but also on our phone lines. Remember, we're there for you 24/7, every day of the year. It's where I cut my teeth as a broker, was speaking with clients like yourself, becoming proficient in using these tools and becoming better traders. It's absolutely part of the process as a broker at Schwab to support those of you making this very important shift. And we recognize it's not comfortable, but it is necessary. So hopefully the time that we devote for you here on the channel and the resource of the brokers on the phone available every day of the year, 24/7, hopefully that will help to support your process. I'm a big believer in multiple monitors, particularly as it relates to the Thinkorswim platform. When I get away from my multiple monitor setup and working on my laptop exclusively, it does become a little bit of a challenge because I'm just so used to having my platform spread out over multiple pages or multiple monitors. It's really, really convenient. But that, at least I've got the visual detail that I'm looking for more often than not, because of course the suite of Thinkorswim applications, they speak to each other so clearly. So lines drawn here in the desktop version are already there waiting for me in Thinkorswim mobile, or waiting for me in the web-based Thinkorswim as well. All right, everybody, I think we have covered as much as I have time to really cover for you. The final couple minutes here will not afford me a chance to dig a whole lot deeper, but I hope that we've been able to scratch the surface on why drawing sets could be helpful, maybe more importantly, why study sets are helpful for you, and further, why that My Tools box, whether it be the shadow along the top or a separate held tool, can be very, very helpful for you. Take the time to build your tools the way you want them, customize them, save them, and then make them easily accessible. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for being here. Big thanks to Brent in the chat to manage some of the things I was unable to get to. We did get a survey. Would love to hear from you there. Again, you're welcome to focus on me if you'd like, but the truth is this series benefits greatly from your input. So please think of it that way. What else can we be highlighting for you here in this series? Utilize the playlist that is shared above to bookmark. You'll find this version, this class today, added sometime early tomorrow, if not sooner, and bookmark that for your use going forward. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to familiarize yourself and further your learnings there. So follow Brent and me on X. And if you like today's chat at all, beyond the survey, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up down below, everybody. With that, I'll leave you for the day, but I thank you for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, and I look forward to following up with you all again real soon.